Hi, I'm Eric Hutchinson. I'm the principal broker and owner of Hutchinson Realty, and this is video 16 of the Negotiating Your Next Home video series. I hope you'll watch the other videos in the series because we have talked about a lot of different topics. Today, we're going to be talking about for sale by owners. That's right, for sale by owners. And you might be thinking, Eric, why are you going to be talking about a for sale by owner? You're a realtor. You don't sell for sale by owners. Actually, I do sell quite a few for sale by owners. Every year, I usually sell one or two for sale by owners because a lot of sellers try to sell their house on their own, especially in a seller's market like we're in right now. I have buyers and sellers want to sell their own home to save money so that they don't have to pay a listing commission. But most sellers price their home at the rate at where a realtor would list the property. So the seller is basically trying to gain the money that they would be paying their realtor because they're going to put their house at market value and try to get as much money as they can. Now, if you are a buyer and you are looking for a house and you talk to a for sale by owner, keep in mind you are not getting a discount because they didn't list their house with a realtor. In fact, you may be paying more than you should if you're not going to be using a realtor and going directly to the seller. So, my recommendation is allow a realtor to represent you and see if the realtor can negotiate maybe a lower real estate commission than what they would charge if the house was listed and there was a selling agent involved. So, when there's two agents involved, usually the real estate commission is a little bit more than what it is if there's only one real estate agent involved, and the realtors can negotiate their commission with the seller. So there are some options there, and you can get representation, and that's really important. I would recommend, even if you don't use a realtor, that you use an attorney or someone to represent you that knows what they're doing, that knows Arkansas law. Now, realtors, we are not attorneys, but we do a lot of real estate transactions every single year. And so I believe that we are qualified to represent you and help you in negotiating your next home, even if it is a for sale by owner. Now, we've gone over the 12-page real estate contract that we use as real estate agents, but now I'm going to go over a form called a permission to show. A permission to show is an agreement that we have the seller sign saying that they understand and they agree that we represent you as the buyer and that they're going to pay the real estate commission. So let's get into it, shall we? So this is the permission to show agreement, and it's a 3-page document. It's not a real long document, and we're only going to be looking at the first 2 pages. The third page is really the signature page, and it's not a lot of information there that you need to know, but the first 2 pages you do need to understand and know. So let's go over those. So it says at number one that Hutchinson Realty, that's my company, has the right to show the seller's house or property, and it names the seller. I put John and Jane Smith there as the fictional sellers for this video. And so Hutchinson Realty, hereafter called the selling firm, and then John and Jane Smith, hereafter called the seller, that they are allowing me, the buyer's agent, to show their property. This is why they call it a permission to show. And then there's a time frame in there, and I normally put in there around 30 days because if we do get the house under contract, it's going to take 30 days to close it if there's a loan involved, and I may be showing the property multiple times during that 30 days. So I usually put a 30-day window in there. Sometimes I put 60 days in there. And then it's got the address of the property, the legal description, and then it's got the name of the buyer. And it's really important that the name of the buyer goes in there so that the seller knows that the buyer is being represented by the realtor. And then whatever the seller quotes the realtor for the price, that is what we put in item number 3, where it tells that the house is to be priced. And here I just wrote in a fictional amount, $315,000. Now, here's the paragraph that's really important. On paragraph 4, it says non-agency agreement. It states very clearly that the realtor does not represent the seller in any way, form, or fashion, but only represents the buyer, and that the seller understands that we represent the buyer and that they need to be careful about what they say because we're going to disclose that to the buyer. So it's really important that the seller understands this whenever a realtor presents this to them. And then they're going to go to page 2. And on page 2, it talks about the selling firm's fee. Now, as I mentioned before, this is negotiable. So the seller says, you know what? I'm not going to pay a 6% or 7% commission. And the agent can say, well, I'm only going to charge you a 3% selling commission. Now, because of antitrust laws, I can't tell you what other real estate companies charge. I can only tell you what my company charges. And normally we only charge a 3% selling commission. We don't charge usually any more than that, even though we're going to be doing some extra work because the seller doesn't have someone representing them. But normally we charge 3%, but it's negotiable. And as the principal broker, sometimes I come down from that commission and sometimes I charge a little bit more depending on what kind of work we're going to be doing. Again, number 8, paragraph 8 talks about agency disclosure and letting the seller know that selling firm and all licensees associated with the selling firm are agents of the buyer. And again, just telling the seller that they understand that we do not represent them. So there's 2 places on this form that states really clearly that we do not represent the seller in any way, form, or fashion. Then it talks about fair housing, talks about earnest money. If there's any earnest money, that the earnest money will be held with a selling firm, which is the your agent, me. If I was your agent, then it would be held with my firm, which is what you want if there is earnest money. So it just talks about that, and you can always agree to have a third party hold it, but if you are the buyer, then you would like your agent, your selling firm to hold that earnest money for you, even though you can't access it after you've submitted it. It's still good to know that the agency that's representing you is holding the earnest money. And in paragraph 11 says that the buyer's agent, me, the selling agent, is allowed to videotape and to photograph the property. A lot of times we are actually videoing or taking pictures of the property when the buyer isn't there. And sometimes we are doing a FaceTime or a Zoom or video live stream with the buyer, even though they aren't there. So sometimes that happens. But anyway, this document gives the agent permission to do that. So I hope that that makes sense to you. If you are a buyer and you see some for sale by owners on Zillow, let me highly recommend that you allow your realtor, your agent, to represent you. There's going to be a discount for the seller anyway, and the seller most likely has already raised their price to include a real estate commission for that. So just keep all those things in mind whenever you are looking for property and trying to negotiate that. Realtors do usually 20, 30, 40 transactions in a year. So we're used to negotiating with sellers, and we're also a good buffer zone between you and the seller. So hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about that, you can always reach out to me at info@hutchrealty.com, or you can visit our website where you can look at all the biographical data on all of our realtors to see if a realtor might meet your needs that works for our company. So hope things are well for you and your family, and good luck in negotiating your next home. May God bless you and keep you.